Hey guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peter Watches TV and Movies. So if you like to watch TV shows, and you like to watch movies, and you like to talk about them, come over here and hang out with me. And today, I am going to talk about a movie that I watched last night. So if you watch my channel regularly, I usually do TV show reactions and reviews. I've done a few movie reactions through the years over on this channel, and the 2 years that I've had this channel. But I think that I'm going to start adding some more movie reactions. Whatever the movie is, I don't care how old it is, I don't care how new it is, if it just came out, or if I just watched it, if I just found it. I'm going to start doing movie reactions over here as well. I think also, especially if they are older, because sometimes I will, like, I've never seen, I know this is going to surprise a lot of people. If you know me, you know I love movies. I always have, ever since I was a little kid. But I have never seen the Godfather trilogy. So I'm thinking about watching it this summer and then doing reactions over here to it. But today I want to talk about a new horror movie that I watched last night, which is Clown in the Cornfield. Clown in the Cornfield? Clowns in the Cornfield? Clown in the Cornfield. I read the book, and then I watched the movie, and I was like, okay, I have to do a reaction to this today. I have to. So for those of you that don't know a lot about me, I love horror movies. I have loved horror movies ever since I was a little kid. I can remember seeing Halloween the first time. I've watched the whole Halloween franchise, Friday the 13th. I love the Rob Zombie movies. Anyway, I just love horror movies. And I like more realistic horror movies. So whenever I find a horror movie that kind of has like a realistic idea to it, which I know that this is kind of a stretch, but people dressing up as clowns and being serial killers in a small town in the Midwest, which is where I live, I think kind of seems pretty realistic. It's something that I could probably conjure up in my head. I like the Conjuring movies too. And saw the Devil's Chair at the Zach Bagans Museum in Las Vegas. Anyway, I just love horror movies. So I think it was like 2 months ago, I heard about this movie coming out, and it was getting like hyped up like crazy. And so I was like, oh, I really want to, I think I talked about it in one of my other videos, like my vlog channel. So if you don't know, I have a vlog channel called Peter Vlogs. I vlog every single day, and I just talk about my life and TV shows I'm watching, books I'm reading, things I'm doing. So anyway, I think I was talking about it in there, and somebody said, did you know that that movie is based on a trilogy of books? And I was not aware of that. But when I was growing up back in the day, I loved like the Lois Duncan books that were turned into movies, like I Know What You Did Last Summer. And I love the Christopher Pike books. I love slasher novels. And so I was like, well, I want to read the book, and then I want to see the movie. And at that time, the movie was still in theaters. It wasn't out on video on demand. It wasn't streaming on any apps or anything like that. So I was like, okay, this will give me time to watch, or to read the book and then watch the movie. So I ordered the book, and I got the book and started reading it. And my friend at the same time, my friend Nikki, she read the book. She got through it like in an afternoon. And so I was at the time that she got done with it. I was probably 50, 40 pages in. And she said, yeah, it was okay. I'm not reading any more in this series. And I was like, was it that bad? She goes, it was pretty bad. And I was like, no. And I had looked up the author, who is Adam. I kept on pronouncing his name Cesar, but I guess it's Caesar. So Adam Caesar, who is also a YouTuber, and he has done reactions to horror movies. I love his YouTube channel. And so I really enjoyed the book at the beginning of it. So let me give you a little bit of the synopsis of the book. I'll read it to you in the back. Winner of the 2020 Bram Stoker Award for Superior Achievement in a Young Adult Novel, which kind of blows me away. In all honesty, I am an avid reader. Quinn Maybrook just wants to make it to graduation, but she might not make it to morning. When Quinn and her father moved to a tiny town with a weird clown for a mascot, they were looking for a fresh start. But ever since the town's only factory shut down, Kettle Springs has been cracked in half. Most of the town believes that the kids are to blame. After all, the juniors and seniors at Kettle Springs High are the ones who threw the party where Arthur Hill's daughter died. They're the ones who set the abandoned factory on fire and who spend all their time posting pranks on YouTube. They have no respect and no idea what it means to work hard. For the kids, it's the other way around, and now Kettle Springs is caught in a constant battle between old and new, tradition and progress. It's a fight that looks like it will destroy the town, until one homicidal clown with a porky pie hat and a red nose decides to end it for good. Because if your opponents all die, you win the debate by default. Okay, so when I started reading this book, what I really enjoyed about it is that I love the character development. I can read any book as long as they have strong characters in it. And I really, really liked the characters in this book. So when the book starts, okay, because it's very different than the movie. So let me explain this to you. And I wouldn't recommend the book, and I wouldn't recommend the movie. So I'm going to probably spoil it. Well, I am going to spoil it for you. When the book starts, it's about this group of popular kids in this small town called Kettle Springs. And the town is kind of dying because this factory is closed down. And so nobody has a lot of work options anymore. And so people are leaving. They're moving out of the town. The town is pretty much dying. So it's about this group of popular kids. And this small group are like filming videos, pranks, and they're posting it on a YouTube channel, which I have to believe comes from the author, you know, having a YouTube channel and things like that. And as somebody that, you know, makes videos on YouTube, I found that to be, I liked that aspect of it. And so it starts off with this scene where they are at like a lake and they're all diving in this lake and they're doing pranks, and you never really know like what is a prank and what is not a prank. And the preface at the beginning of it is like 10 or 15, 20 pages long. It's a pretty long preface. And the people that own the hills, that own the factory in town, which makes this syrup, whose mascot is this clown, the two kids from that town are like very, very wealthy. And so the sister, who nobody pays any attention to because she's younger, she gets on this platform to dive into the lake, and she like hits her head coming down, and then she dies. And they record the whole thing, and so it goes kind of like viral, and this girl's death is like even more like the town is upset about it and things like that. They just think these kids are careless. And they just are constantly doing pranks, and they kind of insinuate that it was a prank gone bad. But when you read the preface, that's not what happened. It was not a prank gone bad. So then chapter 1 is about this girl named Quinn. And Quinn moves to Kettle Springs with her dad. I believe she's from Pittsburgh or Philadelphia. She moves to Kettle Springs because her mother has recently passed away. And her dad is a doctor, and so he takes a job in this small town of Kettle Springs. You don't really know why at first, except it's kind of like they're trying to get away from everything that happens. You find out later that, well, in the movie, they say that her mother overdosed. In the book, they kind of insinuate that she took her life. You don't really know in the book definitively. So anyway, it's about this girl named Quinn, and Quinn is very athletic, and she's like a 4.0 student, and she's always kind of like doing the right thing, and she's like a good girl. She's like not like a prude, but she's like a good girl that's also kind of like popular at the same time. She's very upset about moving to Kettle Springs because she's leaving her friends behind, and she knows that after a few days, a few weeks, she's not going to hear from them anymore. So she gets very upset about that. And on the first day that she goes to class, this guy walks her, his name's Rust. He walks her to class. He's already met her dad. And he's kind of like this farmer type in this town. And then she meets this group of like the popular kids that are doing the pranks in town. And she like laughs at a joke. So the teacher in the book, he's talking about like they're going to have this like flash test all of a sudden. And the students start giving him kind of a hard time. Like, we're not prepared on this. Is it about nutrition? Like, we haven't read that chapter, and the teacher gets real flustered. And so he starts kind of going off on the students and telling them they all have detention. Well, she laughs. And so she gets detention also. And she doesn't really understand, like, how did I end up in this group? Like, I'm a good girl, like, I'm popular, like, I'm just trying to settle in, get good grades, and then I'm off to college, is her plan. So she's in this detention, and the kids are not super nice to her at first in detention. And so then she kind of, like, gets to know them over time, blah, 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 blah. And then they're really, to be honest with you, in the book, so this is what happened. So I was on vacation, and I brought this book, and I also brought the sequel with me, okay? So I bought the sequel, too. There's 3 of them in the trilogy. But I just would read 5 pages, and I would get so bored. I mean, halfway through the book, there was not one murder, no slashing. It was not a horror novel whatsoever. And I'm like, like, the most you got was her looking out her back window at this factory, and it had a clown on it. So it was kind of like an eerie setting, but it wasn't really, and they never really, you got the assumption that it was like the beginning of August in the movie. It seems like it's like around Halloween, like October. You don't really know. So anyway, but I love the characters. I love the character of Quinn. Like, it was like this kind of like dichotomy between her trying to be the good girl and then also try to fit in and things like that. And so she like becomes friends with these kids, and But just kind of like on the outside, like if she is at like there's this Founders Day festival, she goes there and they're just kind of there. She goes to this party because she doesn't really have anything else to do. It's not like she's in the group, and it's definitely not like she becomes best friends with any of these people until kind of the very end when they're like at this party and then all these clowns show up, and that's when all the murders start occurring, is at the very end of the movie. And then what you find out is it's the adults against the kids. They think the kids are ruining Kettle Springs, and so it's the adults. So what I realized in that moment, this was probably the last third of the book, I was like, oh, I get what this is. This is Children of the Corn, but turned the other way around. It's like Children of the Corn, but it's now the adults are killing the kids. And so the book ends like pretty conclusively. Like everybody, all the side characters die except for her and the son of the guy that owns the factory. And then you find out Rust. And there's a lot of diversity in the book too. There's a lot of diversity in the book. The main character is Asian American, which they make her in a movie. They make her a blonde American, which I thought was an interesting choice. But the book has a lot of diversity. And you find out that at the end of the book, the Rust character, who's like the farmer kid, and the popular kid have like been in love for years, or like this gay couple, but they've never been out about it. And that comes out at the very, very end of the book. And then the guy that owns the company, who's this kid's father, he like runs off with all the money, and then her dad is running for like mayor, which makes no sense because he doesn't really want to be in this town anyway. The book doesn't really work, I'll be honest with you. And I was really wanting it to work. I was really hoping it would work. Because I loved the characters at the beginning of the book. And it's very much, the book really feels like the beginning of it. It almost kind of feels like at the end of it, like he was rushing for a publication date or something. I don't know what happened. It just does not work as a slasher book. Like, I think he's so in love with horror novels and slasher movies and things like that, that's what he wanted to write. But it just does not, it doesn't work. It was never scary. Not once was I scared in this book. You kind of know who some of the clowns are all the way through. It's just not that surprising. There really aren't that many jump scares or anything. So I'll be honest with you, I was really disappointed with this book. I was like, and I'm going to read 2 and 3. I'm going to keep on reading it. But I was like just really disappointed in this book. On the heels of, I'm actually going to do a video on my BookTube channel today or tomorrow about don't read this, read this. Because I had just read a slasher novel that was fantastic. And so I just was really kind of like, it felt very trite to me. Especially towards the end, it was like he really knows how to build fantastic characters. The characters were fantastic in it. I loved the characters. I love the character of Quinn in this. She was very likable, and she was very much like a final girl that you would read, like that you see in a movie. I mean, the fact that he was able to transfer a final girl from a movie into a character in a book is very difficult to do, and yet he did it with Quinn. And I thought he did it fantastically. But the book is a slasher novel. It does not work. It's not scary. And I don't know, like the clowns didn't even really seem that scary to me, and it wasn't that big of a surprise at the end, and then she's kidnapped. It's like nothing happens for the first half of the book, and the last half of the book, all this stuff happens. Okay. So I was talking about it in one of my vlogs one night, and I was talking about how I couldn't wait to watch the movie, because I wanted to see what the movie was like. And somebody commented and said, you're going to be even more disappointed about the movie than you were with the book. And then I was like, oh God. So we got back from vacation. I was finishing up some of my shows, and so I was like, oh, somebody had said that I had already bought the movie on Amazon Prime, okay, or rented it. I think I bought it. But it's also streaming for free. You can watch it. Oh, no, I guess you still have to rent it. It's Apple TV $9.99. You can rent it. I think it's playing somewhere for free, though, in some streaming app, but it's not showing up here. So Sunday night or Monday night, I started watching it. I think it was Monday night. And I literally got like 10 or 15 minutes into it, and I was like, I cannot do this. Like, I need to go to bed. It's too late, and this is too boring. And that is not how I usually am in movies. So the synopsis for this, and I've read you the synopsis for the book, says, looking for a fresh start, Quinn and her father moved to the quiet town of Kettle Springs. They soon learn the fractured community has fallen on hard times after losing a treasured factory to a fire. As the locals bicker amongst themselves and tensions boil over, a sinister grinning clown emerges from the cornfields to cleanse the town of its burdens, one bloody victim at a time. So, now, I've read a lot of books that have been adapted into movies. That's nothing new for me, okay? So, when I watch a movie, I'm very clear that it's not going to be exactly like the book. Nor do I think sometimes it should be. And in fact, what I was hoping for was, I was like, the book did not work, okay? Maybe it will work as a movie. And I think that books and movies, I think, are very, like, our reactions to them are personal. So just because somebody else didn't like a movie didn't mean that I'm not going to like it. There's a lot of movies and TV shows that I love that other people do not like. So I was, and books as well, and songs and all that. So I was like, well, maybe the movie will be much better. So the movie starts, and there's a killing in a cornfield right away. And I'm like, wait a second. When I read the book, part of the book that worked was the build-up to it, okay? The building of the characters. So I'm watching this, and mind you, I think the movie is like an hour and 35 minutes or something like that. Hold on, let me see. It is an hour and 36 minutes. So I knew that they didn't have a lot of time, but in all honesty, not a lot happens in this book. I mean, it's not like you couldn't push this into an hour and 36 minutes. So at the beginning of it, this guy gets killed in the cornfield. And I'm like, okay. So then it flashes to Quinn moving. Now, this is a completely different Quinn than in the book. This Quinn is pissed off about being in town. She's pissed at her dad. She's pissed at everybody. She's a partier. She just wants to get drunk. She wants to party with these kids. She kind of comes into class right away, and it's kind of like, I'm going to rule this class. Kind of like, the kids are like getting into trouble, and she's like telling the teacher off, and she's in detention. She's like, yeah, why am I sitting here and stuff? And I'm like, this is not the Quinn that I read in the book. And the only redeemable quality about this book was Quinn, the main character. She's the reason that I kept on reading it. Also, the other characters, like the Cole kid and his friend, who I can't think his name is now, Matt or something like that. Anyway, when they walk into school, so she becomes friends with this girl named Ginger, who gets one mention before she's murdered in the movie, who's kind of like, she was part of the popular group, but she's not anymore. And she kind of befriends her at the beginning. She meets this Rust guy. They develop his character pretty well. The other popular kids, I mean, each character is so well developed in the book. It's like the kid comes into school, this Cole kid, who hasn't been to school since his sister, like, passed away and since they burnt down the factory as a prank and all this kind of stuff. And he comes into school and everybody, like, the halls part and they're like, oh, it's Cole and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And so he's already got kind of this, like, legendary status around him. None of that happens in the show. He's, like, literally in scene 1 and he's like, oh, I'm Cole, and that's how it is. None of the characters, they're all flat characters in the show. The main character, Quinn, is so unlikable. She is like Parker Posey in Dazed and Confused. I mean, she's just not likable character in the movie at all. To the point where I was not interested in these characters. I just didn't understand it. It didn't make any sense to me. Then there's murders all throughout the movie, which I understand, okay? It's a horror movie. So you're going to want to, instead of the book where he's building up characters, you're going to want to weave the murders, or people are going to be like, there's no murders, there's no kill count in this horror movie. I understand that, okay? But part of the building up of the characters was why the adults in the town are so threatened by the teenagers, okay? That's why you build these characters up, because the teenagers have more power in this town than the adults do, which leads into the whole idea of Children of the Corn turning that idea around, where it's not the kids running the town, it's the adults that are coming back on them. And it's actually kind of a genius idea if it worked. It just doesn't work. And the movie is so flat and so bad. And it's just like, one person's killed here, but they never find out. One person's killed here, but they never find out. And literally all the action in the movie, I'm not talking about building up the climax, all the action in the movie happens in like the last 30 minutes. And what was so weird was, I was like, okay, so we have now like erased like characters, definitive personalities, their background stories, how they're diverse characters. We've erased all of that. So are they going to also erase like the idea that these two guys were like gay and they were like in love was like a really pivotal part of the story. And I was like, are they going to just like erase this whole part? Well, like halfway before, like half an hour before the end of the movie, they're like all trying to get into this tunnel underneath this barn, running away from the clowns. And the Rust guy looks at Cole and goes, why aren't you going to ever admit the truth? And he goes, what do you mean? He goes, I don't even know what the truth is. He goes, that we're in love or something like that. I'm like, okay, wait. What is going on right now? This is not where it was supposed to happen, and this does not work either. The movie is bad, okay? And in fact, I was kind of surprised because a lot of authors, when you'll see the books turn into movies, like they'll walk out of the theater. They're like, this is not what I agreed to. The book is so, like the book doesn't work, but I love the characters, okay? Like I said. The movie, the characters are unlikable, and the book, and the story doesn't work either. It's not interesting, and the dad isn't even really likable in the movie, And I don't know, none of it really works for me in the movie, and I wasn't scared at all. I was absolutely bored. And so I was like, did the author like push the movie? And I go to his Instagram and he's like, push the hell out of this movie. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, they ruined your book. Like, they ruined your book. The movie is horrible. It is one of the worst, not just one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen, it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I mean, I looked on here and it says, hold on a second, I was blown away. It says something like it's, I don't, like 73% on Rotten Tomatoes, Prime Video, a rating of 5.7 out of 10. What? I just watched this movie on, why can't I remember what it was called now? Somebody recommended it to me. It was called, Totally Murder or something like that on Prime. And it was the girl from the Sabrina the Teenage Witch TV show. And she has to go back in time to like 1987 to stop these murders that occurred because her mother gets murdered in like today's time, like 2025. So she has to go back in a time machine and stop it. It was fantastically done. It's so corny. But once you buy into the corniness of it, it works. Like, it works so well. The pop culture references, the music, I mean, all of it was done so well. Not based on a book, I don't believe. And I was like, why does this horrible, corny-ass movie called Totally Murder or Totally Something work? And Clown in the Cornfield is so bad. I mean, it is so bad. It was so bad. It was like laughable at parts. I did not understand it. But I was like, I have talked so much about this book and this movie that I am definitely doing a review today. I'm telling you, on a scale of 1 to 10, I wouldn't even give this movie a 1. I mean, it was bad. The acting was bad. I just didn't, the main character, I mean, God love her, she'd be great in something else, honestly. I mean, the acting wasn't like, it wasn't good, but it wasn't like horrible. It just was like, none of them seemed to like, I don't know, they just were very stereotypical characters when the characters in the book were so deep. And I thought that piece was missing from the movie, and they changed a lot of the slasher stuff. And I don't know, it just was bad. It just was bad. So anyway, if you've watched it, I would love to hear a different point of view. I feel like I've fully done my research. I read the whole book. This was the other thing. So I got about 100 pages in. We were in the airport in Mexico. We're getting ready to go to the airport in Mexico. And I was like, I'm listening to it on Audible. I cannot. So I went back. So I've actually read the first half of this book. I read it, and then I listened to it on Audible, and I listened to the rest of the book. So I have done my research on this. I would not recommend this at all. So anyway, if you watched it, let me know in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.